Hello, grade 8. Uh, it is a rainy day here at home, um, but I wanted to reach out to you today and start doing some mini lessons. I've been brainstorming over the past couple of days things that would be helpful to have a video on that you can look to if you're ever stuck or if you're ever wondering what you can work on. Uh, and this is, of course, all optional until the official work starts, which I think is going to be next week sometime. Uh, so these are just going to be content to support you in your English language arts journey that you can do from home, that you can sort of just listen to me and catalog that information how you would as if we were in class. And today is going to be all about proofreading. We proofread all the time in class, and I don't think I've ever articulated why we do that and the point of doing something like a rough copy and a good copy. I've said it to you before that it's the intention is not to have the same piece of writing twice. And even though I've said that, I think there's a real disconnect between what a rough copy is and what a good copy is for any piece of writing. So let's start with an example. I write all the time, and I'm still in school, so I write essays a lot as well. But in my day-to-day life, most of my writing is in the form of emails to other educators, emails to your parents, emails to that's pretty much it, to other educators and your parents. That's most of my day, especially right now. And I always proofread. And you might think, okay, Ms. Dupuy, but you write all the time, so it's not that hard for you to catch your spelling mistakes. Fair enough. When I proofread, it's to catch my spelling mistakes, but that's not the main focus. Proofreading is about making sure your writing is as thoughtful and purposeful as it can possibly be. And in my opinion, once you get to a certain level of language learning, the spelling mistakes and the punctuation, that's a given. Like that is expected of you when you become, when you're a grown up. And when you're writing in a professional context, right? You just don't see that. You don't see emails coming from other professionals that are littered with spelling errors or punctuation mistakes. It doesn't really happen. And you will all get there one day. What you're editing for, what you're proofreading for, is for your ideas. Did I say what I wanted to say? Did I say that what I was trying to say as clearly as possible? Will there be anything else people have questions about here that I didn't address that I can address before I send it? So proofreading is so crucial. I'll be honest, I don't think I ever have actually. I don't send the first draft of anything. I've never just written something, not read it through, and sent it, right? Typically, I take a much longer process. So if I'm writing an email to your families, I'll draft it up, and then I'll let it sit for a bit. I won't send it right away. Maybe I'll go teach a class, come back to it. When I get back to it, I've always, as I read through, I've made changes, I've added things in. Sometimes if it's a bigger email, if it's about something more important, I'll have Mr. Crew read it, or Miss Jodry, perhaps, and get another fresh set of eyes on what I'm trying to do. Is this clear? Does it make sense? So how do you proofread? That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking to make my ideas better, make my writing more concise, more clear, and that doesn't involve me just running it through Grammarly, which most of you have, many of you have done with your own work. And I had several students express their frustration. Me saying, I can't believe there were some errors left in that. I ran it through Grammarly. Grammarly is not a replacement for you and for your own voice and your own eye as well. So the best thing you can do to improve your own writing, and I've told you this in class before, but I'm going to say it again because it is the optimal strategy for proofreading, and that is reading your work out loud. There is no replacement for verbalizing your writing. It is only when you speak words or when you read something out loud that you can catch those natural nuances or those hiccups that come from that flow. If I ever sit down with you, which I have with almost all of you, and I ask you to read what you wrote out loud, most of the time students laugh because, oh, I meant to write this, or I meant to do this, as they're reading it out loud, because once they're put in that position, it's far easier to see the things that you should change. It saves you a lot of time. There's no way around it. That's the best thing you can do for yourself and for your writing. So while you're learning from home and you don't have me there, and you probably have the luxury of having a more quiet space than our classroom, reading your work out loud should not be a problem. And adjusting as you go. Like I said at the beginning here, I don't get you to write a rough copy and then a good copy so I can see two copies of the same thing. The whole point of a rough copy is that you put everything you could possibly come up with in your first draft. I write essays all the time. When I write an essay, I sort of push all of my ideas about a topic onto a page. Just get it all out there. And only once that's done, and this is what I really do, I go paragraph by paragraph and I take them each into a separate Word document. So I'm working on a single paragraph at a time. And that's helpful as well because it's much less intimidating and it allows you to break down those components of a paragraph, having your intro sentence, your middle with your evidence, and your conclusion. It's a lot easier to see that when you have a single paragraph on a page as opposed to 5, which most of your essays are. But I do that even with much larger essays. That works very well. I've never found a better strategy for improving writing. So hopefully that would be helpful to you if you're writing on a computer in a Word document. Now, because we're all home and we handwrite much less than I would like anyways, I would suggest that you at least practice writing by hand. It doesn't have to be in cursive. You could certainly attempt if you'd like, but practice forming your letters and practice writing things. It's proven that you retain information a lot better when you write it down by hand. It takes more effort. It takes more thought. You're physically flowing those words together, and there's no replacement for that, in my opinion. There just isn't. What else did I want to go over here? Reading out loud, taking your time. This is specifically for you, grade 8, and it goes for all of you because none of us take as much time as we should when we write. There's a real pressure to get the work done, and I hear you. I understand. I've been there. I've been that student. But right now, I think we should relish in the luxury of taking our time with our writing. There's no rush. And the more you are aware when you write, the better your writing is going to be. And soon, you will be able to write an essay in half the time that it takes you to do now. I think back to our persuasive essays and all the drafting and all of I probably felt like a lot to you all because we went through all of these different steps. But I'll tell you, because I read them and I marked them, they were astronomically better than when in previous years where I've just done a basic rough draft and then a good copy. They were all so well done, and the care that was taken in those essays was was next level professional. Almost nobody lost points for things, silly things like spelling. On the contrary, it was everything was formatted properly. Everyone had 5 paragraphs of 5 to 7 sentences. Everyone's indents were there. So what I was marking was your ideas. What I was marking was your flow of language. And that is huge for grade 8. That is huge. And it showed me that you could all do it. And then, before all of this happened, you all did an in-class essay for me. You wrote 5 paragraphs in a single hour because you prepared that much. That's pretty amazing. So, proofreading is about putting your best voice forward and recognizing that our initial thoughts are not the most polished, and they're not our best work. Our best work comes from being thoughtful and from taking our time. Writing's a process. It really is. So keep this all in mind as we journey through online learning. Have a good day, everybody.